The first sign you must never ignore is when someone constantly talks about other people's secrets, failures, and private lives as if it's normal conversation. At first, it feels harmless. It may even feel like trust. They lean closer, lower their voice, and reveal something personal about someone else. Your brain interprets this as intimacy. You feel included. You feel chosen. But what you are actually witnessing is not loyalty. You are witnessing a lack of loyalty in its purest form. Human psychology follows patterns that are extremely predictable. A person who betrays someone else's privacy in front of you is showing you exactly what they are capable of doing to you later. They are revealing their internal moral boundaries, and those boundaries are weak. Most people ignore this sign because their ego enjoys being the trusted one. It feels powerful to be the person who knows hidden information, but this feeling is a trap. Manipulative individuals understand that information creates psychological leverage. The more they share with you, the more likely you are to share with them. This is called forced reciprocity. When someone gives you something personal, your mind feels pressure to give something personal back. This is how they extract your weaknesses without you realizing it. They create an illusion of mutual trust, but in reality, they are collecting data. Every fear you reveal, every insecurity you mention, every doubt you confess becomes a tool they can use in the future. Not necessarily immediately, but when the situation benefits them. Power does not come from physical strength. Power comes from informational advantage. The person who knows your emotional triggers has invisible control over your reactions. There is also a deeper psychological motive behind gossip and exposing others. When someone frequently talks about others behind their back, they are signaling insecurity and strategic positioning. By lowering the image of others, they attempt to raise their own position in your mind. This is subconscious dominance behavior. They want to control your perception of social hierarchy. If they can make you see others as weak, incompetent, or untrustworthy, they increase the chances that you will rely on them instead. They isolate you mentally, and isolation increases influence. Machiavellian personalities are especially skilled at this. They understand that direct control creates resistance, but indirect control creates dependence. Instead of forcing authority, they earn your psychological openness. They become the person you feel comfortable with. They listen carefully. They remember details. They validate your emotions. But their goal is not emotional connection. Their goal is informational access. Once they understand how you think, they can predict how you will react. Once they can predict your reactions, they can influence your decisions without you noticing. Another dangerous element of this behavior is normalization. When someone frequently exposes others, they make betrayal feel normal. Your brain slowly becomes desensitized. You stop seeing it as a red flag. You start seeing it as personality. This is how psychological defenses are lowered. Manipulation is most effective when it does not feel like manipulation. It feels like friendship. It feels like trust. It feels safe. But the truth always hides in patterns. Loyal people protect others when they are absent. Disloyal people expose others when they are absent. This difference defines everything, because loyalty is not proven by how someone treats you in front of you. It is proven by how they treat you when you are not present to defend yourself. A person who constantly reveals private information is not building trust. They are demonstrating that trust has no value to them. And once you understand this, you stop listening to their words and start observing their nature. Because their nature will eventually treat you the same way they treat everyone else around them. The second sign you must never ignore is someone who slowly disappears when you have nothing to offer them. This behavior is subtle, and that is what makes it dangerous. In the beginning, they are always present. They respond quickly. They support you. They show interest in your goals, your progress, and your life. It feels like loyalty. It feels like connection. But what most people fail to realize is that some individuals are not attached to you. They are attached to the value you provide. Human relationships are often driven by invisible exchanges. Attention, status, emotional support, opportunities, and access are all forms of value. Manipulative personalities are highly sensitive to these forms of value. They instinctively move toward individuals who are rising, improving, or gaining influence. They invest their presence where there is potential return. But their presence is not permanent. It is conditional. You begin to notice the shift when your situation changes. When you become less useful, less successful, less emotionally available, or less beneficial to their goals, their behavior starts to change. They respond slower. They show less enthusiasm. They stop offering support. The energy they once gave freely becomes limited or disappears completely. They do not announce their departure. They fade gradually, creating confusion instead of clarity. This is not accidental. This is strategic detachment. Machiavellian psychology operates on efficiency. These individuals allocate their time and attention where it produces the highest advantage. When that advantage declines, their investment declines. They do not see relationships as emotional bonds. They see them as strategic alliances. Once the alliance stops serving a purpose, they quietly withdraw and redirect their attention elsewhere. This creates a powerful psychological illusion. Because their withdrawal is slow and indirect, you begin to question yourself instead of questioning them. You wonder if you did something wrong. You wonder if they are busy. You create excuses for their absence. This self-doubt weakens your psychological position. It keeps you emotionally open to someone who has already reduced their commitment to you. Powerful individuals understand a harsh truth. Loyalty is easiest when you are strong and hardest when you are weak. Anyone can stand beside you when there is benefit, excitement, or opportunity. But very few remain when there is nothing to gain. This is because most people are driven by self-interest, even when they pretend to be driven by care. This behavior also reveals a deeper instinct related to survival psychology. Humans are naturally drawn toward strength and naturally distance themselves from perceived weakness. Manipulative individuals exaggerate this instinct. They actively seek environments where they can gain advantage and avoid environments where they cannot. Their loyalty is not emotional. It is opportunistic. This is why their presence feels intense in the beginning. They invest heavily when they see potential. They give attention, validation, and support because they are securing their position early. They want access before others do. They want to be close before your value peaks. But once that peak disappears or becomes uncertain, their motivation disappears with it. Their actions expose a fundamental truth about their character. They were never committed to you. They were committed to the benefits surrounding you. Once those benefits weaken, their reason for staying weakens. This is why their loyalty has an expiration date. The most dangerous part is that they rarely leave completely. They keep minimal contact, just enough to maintain access, just enough to return if your value rises again. This allows them to re-enter your life when conditions improve, as if nothing changed. They preserve the connection not out of care, but out of strategic patience. This is why observing people during your lowest moments reveals their true nature more clearly than observing them during your highest moments. When there is nothing to gain, their true intentions become visible. Their effort, their presence, and their consistency expose whether they were ever loyal to you or only loyal to the advantages you provided. The third sign you must never ignore is someone who disrespects you in small ways and then hides it behind humor. This is one of the most calculated psychological tactics used to establish silent dominance. It rarely appears aggressive on the surface. It appears playful, casual, almost harmless. They make a comment about you in front of others. They point out a flaw. They question your ability. Then they immediately smile and say they are joking. This creates confusion inside your mind. You feel the disrespect, but you also feel social pressure to accept it as humor. This is not accidental behavior. This is a psychological test. They are measuring your boundaries. They want to see how much they can say or do without triggering resistance. Your reaction gives them information. If you laugh it off, stay silent, or ignore it, they interpret that as permission, not consciously, but subconsciously. The human brain constantly evaluates social hierarchy. It looks for signals of strength and weakness. When you tolerate disrespect without correction, you signal lower resistance. Lower resistance invites greater control. This is how dominance is established without confrontation. Direct aggression creates conflict and resistance. Indirect aggression creates gradual submission. Manipulative individuals prefer indirect methods because they allow control without accountability. If you confront them, they deny the intention. They accuse you of being sensitive. They reverse the pressure onto you. Now you are defending yourself instead of holding them accountable. This psychological reversal weakens your position and strengthens theirs. Over time, these small moments accumulate. Each comment slightly lowers your perceived authority. Each joke slowly reshapes how others see you. Social perception is extremely fragile. People observe how others treat you to determine how they should treat you. If someone consistently disrespects you without consequences, observers subconsciously lower their respect for you as well. This is how your social position erodes without any obvious event. This tactic works because of human discomfort with confrontation. Most people avoid tension. They choose silence to maintain peace. Manipulators rely on this instinct. They introduce small violations that are not large enough to justify confrontation, but are strong enough to weaken your position over time. This creates a psychological imbalance. They gain confidence while you lose certainty. Another reason this tactic is effective is because it creates plausible deniability. They hide harmful intent behind humor. Humor becomes a shield. It allows them to deliver disrespect while avoiding responsibility. If you accept it, they gain dominance. If you challenge it, they frame you as emotionally weak. Either outcome benefits them. This is strategic positioning. Machiavellian psychology emphasizes control through subtlety. Obvious domination creates enemies. Subtle domination creates silent authority. These individuals understand that the strongest form of control is the one that is not recognized. They weaken your boundaries slowly so that you do not notice the shift in power. By the time you recognize the pattern, the hierarchy is already established. Respect operates on reinforcement. When respect is defended, it grows stronger. When disrespect is tolerated, it grows weaker. People learn how to treat you based on what you allow. Your tolerance defines your position. Your silence communicates acceptance, even if you internally disagree. This behavior also reveals their internal perception of you. People do not test boundaries randomly. They test boundaries where they sense opportunity. They target individuals they believe will not resist. Their actions reflect their assessment of your psychological strength. This is why confident individuals experience fewer boundary violations. Their presence alone signals resistance. Manipulators do not begin with large disrespect. They begin with small, deniable actions. They observe your reaction. Then they adjust their behavior accordingly. Each successful violation encourages the next one. This creates a progression. Small disrespect becomes moderate disrespect. Moderate disrespect becomes open disrespect. The escalation feels gradual, but the psychological impact is permanent. The most dangerous part is how invisible this process feels while it is happening. It does not feel like an attack. It feels like personality. It feels like humor. It feels socially acceptable. But beneath the surface, it is a calculated method of reducing your authority, weakening your boundaries, and reshaping your position in the social hierarchy until they no longer see you as someone to respect, but as someone they can control. The fourth sign you must never ignore is someone who agrees with you too easily, too quickly, and too completely. At first, this feels good. They support your opinions. They validate your thoughts. They see the world the same way you do. Conversations with them feel effortless. There is no friction, no disagreement, no resistance. This creates a powerful sense of trust. Your brain interprets similarity as safety. You begin to lower your guard because you believe you have found someone who truly understands you. But this is often not understanding. It is mirroring. Mirroring is one of the most effective psychological manipulation techniques. It is when someone reflects your beliefs, attitudes, and emotions back to you in order to create artificial closeness. They study how you think. They observe what you like and dislike. Then they adjust their personality to match yours. This creates the illusion of compatibility. It makes you feel connected to them faster than normal. This process is not random. It is intentional observation followed by strategic imitation. When someone mirrors you, they accelerate trust. Normally, trust takes time. It develops through shared experiences and consistent behavior. But mirroring bypasses this process. It creates instant familiarity. Your brain relaxes. Your defenses weaken. You begin to reveal more about yourself. because you feel safe with someone who seems similar to you. But similarity does not always mean loyalty. Sometimes it means strategy. Manipulative individuals use mirroring to gain access to your inner world. They want to know your motivations, your fears, your ambitions, your emotional triggers. The more they resemble you, the more you open yourself to them. This gives them informational advantage, and informational advantage creates psychological leverage. There is also a deeper biological reason why mirroring is so effective. Humans are naturally drawn to people who resemble themselves. Similarity creates bonding. It creates predictability. Predictability creates comfort. Your brain is constantly scanning for threats. When someone appears similar to you, your brain classifies them as low threat. This allows them to move closer to you without resistance. But this comfort is manufactured. It is not earned. A person who genuinely has their own identity will disagree with you sometimes. They will challenge your ideas. They will have independent thoughts. This is natural. This is honest. But someone who mirrors you excessively is not showing independence. They are showing adaptation. They are shaping themselves to fit your psychology. This is how influence begins. Once they gain your trust, they slowly introduce their own influence. Not immediately, gradually. First, they agree with everything. Then, over time, they begin to guide your thinking. Because trust already exists, you accept their influence without suspicion. Their words carry weight because your brain associates them with safety. This is how control enters quietly. Another dangerous element of mirroring is emotional dependency. When someone makes you feel deeply understood, you begin to value their presence more. Their validation becomes important to you. Their approval begins to affect your emotional state. This creates psychological attachment, and attachment creates vulnerability. Now they are no longer just someone in your life, they become someone whose opinion shapes your confidence. Manipulative individuals understand this progression. They know that people trust those who reflect them. They know that people listen to those who understand them. They know that people depend on those who validate them. This sequence creates invisible influence. Their power does not come from force, it comes from psychological positioning. They position themselves as your ally, your supporter, your reflection. But reflections do not have their own identity. They only exist to match yours. This is why excessive agreement is not always a sign of loyalty. Sometimes it is a sign of observation. Sometimes it is a sign of calculation. 2. A balanced question. Was At first, this may seem like genuine interest. They want to know about your past, your fears, your relationships, your failures, and your ambitions. They listen carefully. They maintain eye contact. They make you feel heard and understood. This creates emotional comfort. You begin to trust them because they appear invested in you. But there is a critical psychological imbalance happening beneath the surface. They are gaining access to your inner world while keeping their own inner world protected. This creates asymmetrical vulnerability. You become open while they remain guarded. You become emotionally exposed while they remain emotionally hidden. This imbalance quietly shifts the power dynamic in their favor. Information is one of the most powerful forms of control. The person who knows more about you than you know about them holds psychological advantage. They understand your emotional triggers. They understand your insecurities. They understand what motivates you and what weakens you. This knowledge allows them to predict your reactions and influence your decisions. They can avoid your defenses because they know where those defenses exist. Manipulative individuals are highly skilled at extracting information without appearing threatening. They do not interrogate aggressively. They ask calmly, casually. They make their questions feel natural within the flow of conversation. They may even share small, harmless details about themselves to create the illusion of mutual openness. But these details are carefully selected. They reveal enough to appear genuine, but never enough to make themselves vulnerable. This technique lowers your psychological guard. Your brain interprets their curiosity as care. You begin to trust their intentions. You begin to answer more honestly. You reveal experiences you normally keep private. You expose emotional wounds that few people know about. Each answer gives them deeper access into your psychological structure. There is also a powerful emotional mechanism at work. When someone listens to you closely, you feel valued. Feeling valued creates attachment. Attachment creates trust. Trust creates openness. This sequence happens automatically. You do not consciously decide to trust them. Your brain moves through this process naturally because humans are wired to connect with those who listen. But listening can be used as a weapon. When someone gathers personal information without equal exchange, they are not building connection, they are building leverage. They are creating a map of your emotional landscape. They learn where you are confident and where you are insecure. They learn what you fear losing. They learn what you desire most. This knowledge gives them the ability to influence your emotions with precision. They can use your insecurities to weaken your confidence. They can use your ambitions to guide your decisions. They can use your fears to control your behavior. All of this becomes possible because you revealed information without ensuring equal vulnerability. Another important psychological factor is control through emotional dependence. When someone knows your deepest thoughts, you begin to feel psychologically tied to them. You feel understood in a way others do not understand you. This creates emotional reliance. Their presence begins to feel important. Their absence begins to feel uncomfortable. This strengthens their influence over you. Meanwhile, they remain emotionally independent. They have not exposed themselves in the same way. They maintain control because they remain psychologically protected. This creates an invisible hierarchy. You become emotionally invested while they remain strategically positioned. This behavior also reveals strategic patience. They do not rush to use the information they gather. They store it, they wait, they observe. When the right moment arrives, they use the knowledge to influence outcomes in subtle ways. Sometimes they use it to gain trust, sometimes to gain compliance, sometimes to weaken resistance. The most dangerous part is that this process feels safe while it is happening. It feels like connection. It feels like trust. It feels natural. You do not feel manipulated. You feel understood. But true trust always involves balanced vulnerability. True trust involves mutual openness. When only one person is exposed, trust is not being built. Power is being transferred. And the moment you realize how much of yourself you revealed to someone who revealed almost nothing in return is the moment you understand that they were never trying to know you for connection, but trying to know you for advantage, and every answer you gave became another piece of silent leverage they carry, without you ever seeing how valuable your openness truly was to someone who never intended to offer your offer.